Welcome back to Energetically You. I'm your host, Megan Swan. I am a wellness and mindset coach focusing on healthy habits, abundant mindset, and optimal wellness for powerful female entrepreneurs and professionals who want to have a sustainable and integrated wellness approach that helps them feel energetic and happy throughout their day in order to carry out all of their passion projects. Today, I have the honor of interviewing Dr. William Ferro. He is a health and fitness and wellness innovator who has founded products and services in both B2C and B2B markets. He grew one physical medicine practice called Proactive Health into 30 locations across 7 different states. Essentially, he is a wealth of information and has multiple projects in the works at any given time. He also grew and exited one of the fastest growing multi-location personal training programs called sweatpt.com. He created Better Health, that's BETR Health, to solve adherence for lifestyle modification with a heavy emphasis on personalized nutrition with reliable engagement, sustainability, and outcomes. So you see, we have a lot in common, and we are going to dive right in. Welcome, Bill. Thank you so much for being here today. It's an honor to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey? I know you have a diverse background, but what are some of the most important points that you feel like have gotten you to where you are today in your current passion projects?
Yeah, I think it's not your fault is my journey. I realized that people are struggling with their weight, with their cholesterol, with their mental health. And we've been led to believe that it's something that we're lacking. And so my journey has led me to realize that it's not people's fault. We just have a very toxic and stressed out environment, and it's not allowing them to function. And the way I witnessed this was I used to have physical medicine offices and health clubs. So I had we'd have like physical therapy, chiropractic, acupuncture, nutrition, you name it. We were trying to throw all the modalities at the human being. And I'd watch them come in with the best intentions. And, we'd have some success, but by and large, people were failing. And every year that I had these centers, it got worse and worse and worse. And of course, we blamed the individual. Like, well, it's pretty simple, right? Move more, eat less, just watch what you're eating and life will be your oyster. And then I'd watch people do that and nothing was working. So it caused me to just deep dive into what has happened to us, right? Why is it so difficult to just be happy in our own skin, healthy, not have to watch every morsel in our mouth, and really just came down to we've toxified our environment. So what do we expect? What do we expect? The overuse of antibiotics, pesticides, neurotoxins, chemical-laden makeups, dyes, things that are grown in places where quality and safety are in doubt. Our kids for the first time in history have a lower life expectancy than we do. And yet we expect ourselves to, flourish. And it's just not working. So from being those chiropractic offices to now where I own Better Health, we have about 100 health coaches where we just help people reset their internal chemistry, reset the environment, basically starting with digestive health, low inflammatory foods. And guess what happens? They feel amazing and they come off medications and they sleep through the night like they should be sleeping through the night. They have energy and they don't have to count calories or flip tires in parking lots, and they don't have to punish themselves and belittle themselves in the mirror every day. They can just let their body do what it was designed to do, which is flourish. So that's what got this chiropractor, who I never would have thought, now we're covered by over 40 health plans, that I would not be practicing and working on spines and necks and knees, but I'd be actually just focused 100% on digestive health. And what a ride it's been.
Yeah, so I completely agree with everything you just said. And I'm curious, where do you usually start with people? Because we have come to rely on so many foods that are so toxic for us. So without sort of like scaring them away with giant changes, where do you start?
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. So number one, I don't subscribe to any one type of diet, right? I believe everybody is individual and they got to figure that out on their own. So our methodology is to do an elimination reintroduction food process. And the word elimination can be quite scary, but it's not. So what we tell people is the cool thing about your gut health is it also has this thing called your microbiome with it. So you have 10 trillion cells, but you have 300 trillion natural bacteria. Well, bacteria grows fast. It also can be depleted fast, but it can grow fast. And good bacteria can grow super fast. So if you just gave us 3 days where we say, here's a list of foods that we know cause the least amount of inflammation, the most amount of humans. And if you could cut out alcohol and dairy for just 3 days, just so we can get a baseline, what ends up happening is the person starts to feel so good so quickly that, and they start to lose weight very quickly, or I would rather say convert fat to energy, lower their insulin resistance and things of that nature, that it just makes it easier and easier to stick with it because then their cravings go away. So I don't worry so much about as you just put it, like, oh man, where do we start this so much? I think that in and of itself does cause people to say, I don't know if I could do this. If anyone listening can just give themselves 3 days, say, all right, for 3 days, I can not have my wine or my Diet Coke for 3 days. Then the body takes over and then it's no longer your choice. The body will actually start to crave all these healthy things for you, which is how it was designed to be. Right now it's craving all these bad things because it's in the opposite cycle. But once you break that vicious cycle in the next 3 to 4 days, now it becomes easy. So what you thought looked super daunting, then if I tell you, well, go ahead, why don't you start having that, bad food again? Like, no way. I don't, when I have to go to the elimination part's scary, but wait till people start doing well. And I ask them to start reintroducing healthy foods. It's like, no, I'm doing so well. I'm like, what happened to you? You were so scared to start. Well, that's because the body has changed.
Yeah, definitely. So at what point are people looking for a solution like yours? I mean, I'm sure you have a very diverse,
all over the board. All over the board. So we have Olympic athletes that have digestive health issues. We have Olympic athletes that have mental health issues. And then we have 86-year-olds that are dealing with type 2 diabetes and hypertension. Better health is supposed to be inclusive. It's not a program. It's not you're a bad person. I mean, we're a CDC diabetes prevention program. That's a name they gave us because our outcomes were shown to reduce the risk of type 2 diabetes by 60%. However, we don't want that. We want your child to do this with you, your daughter, your husband, your wife, your parents. Learning how to eat for you is something that will carry along the rest of your life. So this is just a basic course. Like if you wanted someone to take a course on budgeting their household or accounting, this is a course that everyone should take. So we see things from fertility, diabetes, cancer, eczema, psoriasis, acid reflux, anything that you realize that the body, if it was in a better physical internal state, could heal itself. That's when most people will seek us out. Now, the health plans are mostly sending people with diabetes, hypertension, IBS, Crohn's, the ones that are costing them a fortune. But for our direct to consumers, we have NFL athletes right now, and it's funny. You see I do a live Zoom call. We'll have 400 or 500 people on it, and you'll see this Olympic athlete like pounding tuna fish, and then you'll see this old lady and they're being like, what was that recipe again? And it's just beautiful. Like, it's just so nice to see all these people come together.
I love that description. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that what the course looks like? Is it all virtual?
No, so it is virtual. So we start with a personal coach. You fill out a form online. We get you set up with a one-on-one coach, because right now everyone's, like you said, you're stressed because now you got to do something different in your life, right? Like, man, that's a lot to put on somebody. So we just get them with a coach, and the coach says, all right, let's figure this out. Do you eat out all the time, or you're a good cook? Well, generally people like to cook. They just don't have time. And then there's some people that can't boil an egg. So we find the resources around them. We even have meal delivery. So if they feel like I just can't think about cooking, we created this meal delivery process. Not that we're trying to take that away from people, because we do believe you should spend some time in the kitchen. So we're still having them prepare salads and vegetables, things that are easy, but we'll make sure that they get the proteins to their home. And then the coach gets on the phone and says, all right, let's start next week. We always start on a Monday. We do some prep time and planning time. So it's super easy. And then the coach is checking with them every day through their app. So they have access to the coach. It's unlimited messaging, phone calls. And then 24/7, we also have a support chat group. So for the first month, the coach is working with them one-on-one to assimilate this into their lifestyle and make changes along the way. And the food picture part is the food analytics. So we can start looking at the food with you and say, what's crazy is, did you notice when you had broccoli, you didn't feel so good? I mean, who knew? And that's the interesting part about this. With having that coach one-on-one, and then the group calls on top of that, and then the 24/7 support, and then the Facebook group, which is amazing, the people supporting each other. With all of that, what ends up happening is you'll hear a story like this girl, Julie. We work with a lot of health clubs. Actually, that's why I'm in California today. We work with EOS Fitness. And they had a woman they sent to us. She'd been working out with a trainer 3 times a week for a full year. Couldn't lose a pound. She felt better, but couldn't lose a pound. And so, of course, we send them over the fence to the medical model, and it's test your thyroid, test your liver, test all these hormones. Oh, maybe she's getting close to menopause. And then they start experimenting with the chemicals. And where does she get? Nothing. They come up empty. The trainer says, try Better Health. In 60 days, she loses 42 pounds, which is not, to me, again, that's the fun part, but that's not really, to me, that's just a barometer that your body's getting healthy. But what she learned was her trigger foods were quinoa, Greek yogurt, and raspberries. What chance does anybody else have if quinoa, Greek yogurt, and raspberries are causing issues? It's on every magazine that's out there that's what we should be eating right now. So when people come to me and say, Doc, I eat pretty well. And I said, yeah, but for whom? If you don't give yourself 60 days, don't take my word on it. I understand why someone will do a keto diet and get super stuck on keto or Mediterranean because it worked for them. It doesn't mean it's going to work for you. And it doesn't mean you're going to get past those plateaus when you just take kind of that one track dieting. You just take some time to figure this out on your own. First, reset the digestive system, improve the microbiome, reduce the inflammation. And it's just so amazing and enlightening. And sometimes it pisses people off because they're in their 60s being like, I've been struggling with my weight this whole time and all I had to do was this. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, can you tell us a little bit about how you bridge that gap for people? Because we live in this culture where everybody wants, somewhat thanks to consumerism and thanks to the medical model, they want like a fast, easy solution, ideally in the form of a pill. So bridging that gap between, this is going to be your new lifestyle versus this is like a temporary thing you're going to do to get to a said goal.
Absolutely. I think that has actually plagued us because people get results so quickly that I've been doing this for 15 years. So when I first started doing this, first of all, when I started talking about gut health, they're like, what does this quack know about? He's a chiropractor. He's talking about these little microorganisms. So I've been used to it. Thus, our podcast is called Quacks and Hypochondriacs. But the idea was that, all right, you have this gut health in here, and when we change it, people start losing weight, and they were losing weight so quickly. So people started demonizing me and say, oh, you're just going to gain it back very, very quickly. I guess what I was saying is bridging the gap here is we want the fast results are okay. We've been taught that if it's fast, that's no good. Your body wants to be back quickly. Now, it's not okay if you're starving yourself and counting calories and putting your body through starvation. I don't do that. We don't count calories. We're just like eat, feed that microbiome. And that is really what helps that person quickly see those results. So they want to stick with it. That's what brings that more intrinsic motivation. And then I know when it's working, when in the 7th to 10th day, they say, Doc, everyone's complimenting my skin. And I said, yeah, because this is your microbiome, cheek to cheek. That's how I know I've actually done something long-term, is because I've reset their digestive system. And when you see their skin clear up, that's when you really know. The weight loss, of course, is great. They feel good. They can get back in some jeans they hadn't worn in a while. But ultimately, when someone sees their skin, I go, that's your aha moment. I have transformed myself inside out. And when that happens, it's like, woof, people start getting super excited.
Yeah, that glow, right? So do you, as part of the program, helping people understand that what is working in this moment, in this season, in this phase of their life might not be their appropriate diet for the rest of their lives? Like basically reconnecting with their own intuition that they know what is best for themselves?
I think intuition is a really strong word and really apropos, because you need to have some intuition here. without intuition. That's why we make them log everything. So pictures of this food, because you have blind spots. So when you're doing this, you're like, oh man. And the coach can sometimes just say, I know you love beef, but you had it 4 times this week and your weight's stalling. Let's take that out a little bit and see what happens. So I think it's not like you have to be prescribed this one way to eating. I think we think, well, beef doesn't work for me, so I'll never have it again. Or turkey wasn't working for me, I'll never have it again. But that's not really what this is about. This is about intuitively saying, I know that that's not amazing for me. My body doesn't do well all the times, but I still enjoy it. So I'm going to have it. And I'm just not going to intuitively know I'm not going to have it all the time because it's going to, not make me feel good. And as you do this process, once you learn how to do this elimination reintroduction process, you'll probably do it once a quarter. Because for what you just said, things change seasonally, things change, years change. So it's one of those things that you can, once you're empowered with the education, you can do it over and over and over again. Almost like a cleanse. I hate to say that word, but because people think of juice and poop. But really it's just resetting and detoxifying yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm a bit of a detox expert, and I'm very cautious to use that word. I mean, I think it's a wellness tool. Because in essence, your elimination diet in the beginning is a type of detox for people. So what does the support look like for your program once they're sort of in their own, happy homeostasis?
They become part of the solution. We're very big on the community and the movement. So you are part of this movement and you have to act micro-locally. I'd love to save the oceans. I would love to do all those things, but no greater cause than like your little boy back there, right? There's no greater cause than the health and wellness of your family. So if you just act micro-locally and make yourself healthier using this technique, now your husband, your wife, your mom, your dad, your sisters, your coworkers, they will start to come along. And then you're in the Facebook group, you're in our in-app community, and your job is to bring positivity, and your job is to meet the people are doing meetups and they're going for walks. And then many times they'll actually go on to become a coach. So we created an online certification course so that people can become a coach, not because and they're not allowed to coach their friends and they're not allowed to coach their family. That's not what this is about. It's not some type of multi-level marketing. It's just so they are empowered with the education. And some of them actually start coaching people from home. So I would say, I hate to say this about our registered dietitian and nutritionists that we have as coaches, but probably our best coaches are the ones that have actually gone through the program themselves that don't have a degree. We get them our own certification because at the end of the day, this is just about human connection and knowing I got kids too. So I come home from soccer practice and I feel like popping in a frozen pizza, but what do I do when I want to, overcome that? And so that's what the community really, the support is the fact that they become the coach versus me coaching them in perpetuity, where like a WW and some of these other programs, it's more about dependency versus independency. And so I would say the support is you can always come back. We never kick people off the app. They always stay in the community. It's not like they have to pay to stay part of the Facebook group. We believe that there's so many millions and millions of people we need to help that we're going to need these people to become coaches to even get there.
Yeah, I totally agree. So can you go back to where we started with it's not their fault and tell me how you help people sort of deal with the day-to-day contradictory messages that they're getting from mainstream culture, that either it is their fault or that all these things that they now know don't help them thrive are healthy, like all the mixed messages, how to navigate that?
Yeah, well, disease is the number one selling product of all time. And then the more they can give her different names, the more they can sell you more crap. And then they disguise it in a different diagnosis. I mean, I can't even tell people come to me and say, well, Dr. Ferro, I don't know, is this going to work for me because I have diverticulitis or I have leaky gut, or someone said I have adrenal fatigue and this other one said I have this. So it's on both sides of the coin. It's both on the medical side and then our quacky wellness side, right? We got so many people telling them all these different things. That's the root cause. It's your parathyroid. No, it's your hypothalamus. You got to take this one thing. And I'm like, no, your body, stop looking outside and just look inside. And so once you realize that they've been peddling this stuff to us, it's forever, and shut that noise down and just watch how your body is going to heal itself. Much like if I put a plant a tomato plant outside the back of my house, and I come back in 2 weeks and that plant hasn't grown, I don't start screaming at the plant. I have to do what? I have to check if there's water. I have to check if it was too much sunlight, not enough sunlight. And then if I'm really smart, I'll check the soil, right? That's what I'm asking people to do. Check your soil. If you just look at around your soil and forget the noise, your body already knows what to do and heal itself. There's not this one little part. I mean, isn't it crazy that we would think, well, you're missing this one little chemical. The power in your body, the creator that made you, thought of everything else, but just missing this one little chemical. Give me a break. I mean, it's so crazy, but it's ripe for sales and mixed messages, and you just don't need it. You really don't.
Yeah, it's so important to empower people that they have the answer, right?
Yeah. What's your little boy's name again?
Tiago.
Oh, Tiago. It was muted before when you said it. What a cool name. Did you tell Tiago how to grow? Did you tell him how to become a fetus to a newborn, and then a newborn to a toddler, and a toddler to a child? Did you have to give him an instructional map, or did that beautiful boy just do it?
Exactly. But I mean, I think it's important an aspect, it's all different levels of disconnection, right? Like, both sets of grandparents had giant gardens, and it was just like a fact. There wasn't even anything special about it. It was just a matter of fact. If you had a piece of land, a yard, you had a garden, and that wasn't like all of the things you were eating, but it was like an important part, a supplement, and like all of the knowledge that goes along with, understanding what makes plants grow, like you just said with the example of the tomato plant. And then, just being that much more connected to the whole process, to how we're connected to everything we consume, not just food and water, but that is something I do talk to my kids about, because like you say, the understanding that it's just this thing we've been sold.
Yes, we have been. Yeah. And you're teaching him about his environment. It's all about his environment. If he learns about soil, he'll learn about his own soil. Right? If you teach your child how to plant things properly, they're going to say, oh, I guess that's what I need. I need water and good food, and not too much sunlight. I mean, what about the studies that show if you play like happy, uplifting music to a plant, it grows better than if you play negative music. So we're no different than the plant. Give us some good, positive, uplifting, music and relationships, and give us some good soil and water, and we flourish. Exactly.
One last question. I'm curious, in my early days as a health coach, I was much more conscious because that was what I was taught, basically, basically stay in my lane, if you will, and not really broach the subject of if someone was taking prescription drugs for whatever, be it depression or some physical ailment, that I could work to help them get to a better state of health, that they might be able to consider that question with their medical professional, but that I really shouldn't be even suggesting, like it's not ideal to be on antidepressants for the rest of your life, right? So now I'm not that cautious. Now I'm a little bit, but I'm still nuanced in terms of, obviously it's a decision they have to make with their medical professional, but how do you, because it seemed pretty clear to me in your introduction that you are like-minded in that it's not ideal for someone to be relying on prescription drugs for their entire life.
Sure. I mean, I think everyone's different, right? As much as pharmaceuticals save lives, right? They save your life if you, God forbid, have to get into the hospital for some reason. There's a lot that saves your lives. And I would argue that there's some people that medicine long-term may be the only alternative, after that point where there's no more triage. So I let people come to their own decision by speaking like, what can we do? How can we empower you internally to get you your highest potential so that you need the least amount of external intervention, and always work with your doctor. And I would say the great thing is in the last 10 years, I've seen a shift where the medical doctors that the patients would go to wouldn't be receptive. And now they're calling me saying, number one, how do I refer more patients? Number two, can I do your program? Because they have shifted. On my podcast, I had this Dr. Deborah Goff. She was talking about the overuse of antibiotics. That's what she does. She crusades and teaches these medical doctors, stop overprescribing this stuff just in case, because it's creating superbugs. So luckily, the tide has shifted. And where you said we always had a tiptoe because you'd be villainized if you said something. Now they're like, yeah, please give us an alternative to writing prescriptions. Our hands are tired. We don't want to keep just one prescription turns into two. So I do think I'm always cautious. Like I get on a call and say, hey, if your weight goes down 15, 20 pounds in this first month, which most likely it will, you got to talk to your doctor about your hypertensive medication. You got to drop your insulin levels. We have people coming off insulin, metformin. People don't think the one thing is they don't think they can come off these medications. That one always blows my mind. They think once they have it, they're good, they're done. And unfortunately, that's something I do think I don't tread lightly on. I'm like, no, you can with your help of your doctor, of course, but you absolutely can get off a lot of your medications.
Yeah, I think it comes back to empowering people, understanding that they are the main driver in terms of their health and wellness, right?
Absolutely.
Anything else you wanted to leave us with?
I would say it's not your fault. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. When you're under stress, your body is constantly in that reptilian brain in fight or flight mode. It causes cravings, disrupts your sleep, your energy, and then they will have you think, again, there's something wrong with you. So they bring you out there. They make you flip tires in parking lots, which only creates more stress and inflammation and more cravings. You work out real hard in the morning. You eat a good breakfast, even eat a good lunch, and then you're in carpool lane and before you get there, you're at a drive-thru eating French fries, and you're looking in the mirror, yelling and screaming and crying at yourself, like, what's wrong with me? No, that is a physiological demand that you've placed in the body from all the stress and inflammation that you're under. So as soon as you can let yourself off the hook, the faster you can get to a much healthier place. And I love everybody out there who is sitting there thinking, yeah, but you don't know. Yes, I know. I know how the body was designed. You just got to give yourself a chance.
I love that. It's so important to take that self-judgment layer off to really get somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
Well, where can people find you? I know you have a few projects.
Yeah, so Better Health is my main mission. Join the movement, and we spelled better incorrectly. So it's spelled BETR health.com. People always mess that one up because why would you? Well, you can't trademark better, the word better. So we had to be snazzy and do it with 4 letters, BETR health.com. That is the best way. I don't do a lot of Instagram, so I know I should. I just don't. I'm so busy working with people. I don't have time for it. So betterhealth.com. You can even email me at drferro@betterhealth.com if you need some answers to questions and you want to learn more about, the movement. So, but I really appreciate this and appreciate you having me on.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for all of your work. It's really important.
Yes. Well, tell me how the city turns out with Tiago.
I will. I'll send you a picture. Thanks again.
Sure.